what? All right, I think these are the places I want to stream. I don't know about Facebook. Listen, I'm not the biggest Facebook fan. There, I said it, right? Because guess what? Now there's Meta, and I'm sorry, man. Facebook and Instagram, they all want to really, really, they're coming down really hard on people and their behavior. And I get it in some cases if it's extreme. I'm not about bullying. I'm not all about, I'm all about treating other people with kindness and respect, yes. But, is it really up to our social media to like dictate what we say and to punish us for speaking, our minds or saying we don't like something? Because that's what it is. Like I'm not out there bullying people, but I will say when I don't like something. I will say when if I call something out or somebody out, and that should be allowed. I mean, I'm not speaking out of turn here. Anyway, welcome to the Mark Z Drumcast. I am your host, Mark Zapata. I'm the owner and founder of Mark Z Drums, and I've been a teacher for about 12 years. I am also a professional musician. I play with multiple bands. I teach student bands. I work with private students, virtual students, students in music schools or performance centers. I go on tour. I record records. I do a lot of stuff. And I'm grateful to be able to say that today. And I want to welcome you to the Mark Z Drumcast. This is my show Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on YouTube and Twitch. Although I might split them up. What do you guys think about that? Doing a separate show just for Twitch, doing a separate show just for YouTube. I'm still trying to figure it out. And listen, I could use a little help. I could use some feedback. So if there's anybody out there that has feedback or thoughts or feelings about what I just said, about possibly just doing a Twitch show for the Twitch streamers and a YouTube show for the YouTube streamers. See, it's one thing, like my show involves music. So that kind of changes the whole dynamic because a lot of times, if I was just talking about stuff, I could stream on every platform there is. And maybe I'll do that too, who knows. I like to talk. I have a lot of things to say. I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of information to share. I have a lot of helpful things that people might enjoy. But we'll see what happens. This is my Drumcast. We talk about drums. We talk about drumming. We talk about things related. We talk about bands and working with other musicians and things like that. We talk movie reviews and TV show reviews, and we talk food and coffee and beer and spirits, and bourbon and tequila and things like that. I mean, we haven't really talked about those things in a while, cigars, but, and dogs. There's my host, my co-host, Louie. There's all kinds of things to talk about. And I have a lot of things to say. So here we are. Thank you for joining me on the Mark Z Drumcast. I have a lot of things going on. So let me just kind of catch you up to speed on what's happening here in the Mark Z Drum Studios. So I have a number of student bands that I work with. This is my favorite. This is not a Stanley. This is a Chromescape Corporation. It's an Arctic. It's great, man. This is one of my favorite water bottles. But my Stanley is on back order. I don't know why. But hold on a second. I guess I jump on these trends too late, but everything's on back order. But anyway, I didn't really order one of those. because I don't care. But so here, let me catch up on what's going on with me, right? So I'm working with my student bands. I have a drummer who is going through some stuff right now, and she will not be able to perform with two of my student bands for the end of season show. So I'm filling in for them. Now listen, I love jamming with my students. It's awesome. And honestly, it gives them a chance to play with a really solid drummer. It's not always, they're students, so it's not always perfect. And then there's the issue of sometimes people aren't working as hard on their parts, which I'll get into in a minute. But that wasn't the case with this particular person. This person's having a rough time, and we are all supportive of her. And so I am stepping in. But, it's super fun for me to jam with my students because they're so good. And it gives me a chance to kind of show them what it feels like to play with a professional drummer. And the little things, like at a stop in a song, just a couple of hi-hat closes to keep time, everybody comes back in at the same place. The communication I provide with my students as I'm playing, and the way we kind of non-verbally communicate on stage during rehearsal is something that I try to kind of show them. And then, of course, always how we communicate as a band and how we get to where we want to get to. So I'm working on that. 2 set lists coming up in a couple of weeks. It's going to be super fun. I'm working on a new album with a pretty famous punk band that will be putting out their 3rd album. That's all I'll say. If any of you follow me on my socials, you know what I'm talking about. We're working on that. I'm working on my main metal project right now. We've got some things going with some pretty high-profile vocalists. We're doing a few different things musically, and in an effort to keep things fresh and interesting. We've been doing some really cool stuff with my metal project. I am also involved in a couple of other projects, but nothing. Well, one is recording, right? So I'm recording with another project. And then the other thing is a fun kind of project that is going to be mostly a live project. And it's just all about fun, right? But currently, on a personal level, I am reevaluating where I'm at. Listen, as we set our goals and as we start to try to achieve our goals, we put a plan in place, right? We make a plan, we say, this is what I'm going to do, and we put a plan in place. Sometimes, number one, that plan maybe doesn't work as well as we'd hoped, and we now have to adjust the plan, right? We still have the goal in our sights, but getting there, we might have to get there in a slightly different way. Or number two, we put a plan together and we start to execute said plan, and the plan works better than we thought it was going to work, and we find ourselves ahead of our schedule. Well, then we want to also adjust our path and adjust our approach in light of this new development that what we started to do worked better than we had hoped. So there's always adjustments being made. There's always reevaluations being made. And as I talked about before the year changed over to 2024, this is the time of year where we look back over our shoulders at our lives and we say, hey, how did last year work out? What did we like about what we were doing? What did we not like? What do we want to change? And what do we want to keep going with, right? What's working? What's not working? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm evaluating where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I want to do. And opening myself up to even more possibilities because they're out there. There's tons of possibilities out there. I want to encourage people not to limit what they see as possible. Don't limit what you see as possible because you never know what's you never know what's in store. You never know what could happen. I think part of the whole mindset thing is as long as we can keep an open mind and understand that so many more things are possible, no matter how we feel about it, no matter what we think about it. Um, that's where I think that we can get. That's where I think we can get somewhere. Is when we can kind of get away from those limiting thoughts that that's never going to happen. This is never going to happen. We don't know that, right? So this is where I'm at. I'm in the process of trying to figure out like what would work better, right? There are some things that I want to change, some things that I need to change, some things that some things that I am becoming more open to and honest about, and so that's where I'm at. I'm exploring some different avenues and different possibilities, but honestly, I want to keep it music, of course. Hold on a second. Keeping it music. And if you are a musician out there, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a musician, if you're a professional musician, and you are out there doing your thing and making your ends meet with music, fantastic. If you're at a certain point in your journey and you still need other things to happen, I was telling a student yesterday, there are a lot of things out there. There are a lot of avenues. If you have musical talent or a love for music, there are a lot of things you can do. And it's not just the conventional, traditional, I want to be a performer. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a studio musician. Like, that's not where it ends. So just keep remembering that there are endless possibilities out there, more than ever in music. So if you love music, get out there and get her done. Okay, so keeping in time, keeping in line. Well, let's say keeping in time. I like that. Keeping in time with the idea of changing the plan, of constantly evaluating your approach, your success, your failures, evaluating, looking things over. This is what I'm doing with one of my student bands. Actually, a group of us are. The people in charge, the people that are overseeing the student band that I'm working with in one particular place. We've gotten together and we've talked about some issues that have come up. And what we could do, it was a brainstorming session basically of what we can do to improve things. And we came up with a lot of great ideas. One of the ideas was to hydrate a lot, right? That's why I'm doing this now. But we did. We put our heads together. We came up with a lot of ideas. And so in keeping with that, if you have a teacher, an instructor, a mentor, somebody that's also a musician who you look up to, feedback from people with more experience is super, super important. So in the band situation, we've really kind of touched on some really cool ideas and some really good ways to approach some issues that are coming up. And the first thing is identifying the issues. What is going on? What are the issues? Do we have any issues? Is everything running smoothly? No, maybe not. So that's one of the things. And I think one of the the things that we're talking about, and it's being centered around bands, is individuals' preparedness and the amount of effort that's being put in by each individual in the band. And people have different levels of commitment. People have different levels of interest. And sometimes, if you put a group of people together and they have vastly different levels of commitment and interest, it could definitely cause issues, right? So, being able to evaluate the level of commitment and interest in any person associated with a group that you're working with or a band that you're working with, and this goes for me as well. Actually being part of the band out in the real world and not in a school educational type of setting, out in the real world, yeah, we go through the same process. You know, what's the level of everybody's commitment here? Are we equally contributing to the success of the collective, of the whole band? And that's a very, very important thing to be able to understand. Um, because basically it's not, I don't know that it's something you can change, but it's certainly something you can recognize and adjust accordingly. So that's what we're dealing with now in with my student bands, and it's really, I mean, for me, it's incredible work. It's super interesting because of the fact that we do have so many different people and students and personalities to deal with, and what happens in those situations. You know, personalities, people that don't get along, people that get along great, people that really enjoy playing together and working together. But really, one of the things that I am most proud of from a lot of my students is how they communicate with one another, and how they hold each other accountable throughout the process. Listen, you need to get that lead down, you know. When are you going to know all the lyrics without having to look at your phone? Things like that, and they come up. But it's how we communicate that to each other. Okay, so we really need you to have this down by next week. Can you do that? Yes, I'm sorry. It's been really busy, a lot of stuff going on. Okay, no problem. But let's get this done for next week. Okay, great. All right, there's a way to communicate with each other. And I couldn't be prouder of my students that they have really grown as musicians and as bandmates. It's two different things. They've grown as bandmates, and when we had an issue with our drummer, I'll tell you, the rest of the band was beyond supportive, understanding, empathetic, and communicated to the band member that, hey, we want you to feel better. You know, we want you to do better. We want you to you know, we want things to get better for you. So that's what that was the overarching sentiment, and it was pretty amazing. You know, the support that was shown for this person. We want you back. We miss you. We want you back. And that's amazing. So enough of that. There are a lot of songs, including a couple of requests that I've had come in for some really cool tunes that I am working on currently. And when I jump off the stream here, I will get back to my my practice session with these songs for these requests. I know I've talked about the difference between rehearsal and practice. Practice is what we do on our own to develop our own individual skills, and rehearsal is what you do with a group, right? To come together as a band, and everybody gets on the same page, and we practice and work on how we work together and how we perform as a unit. So those are two different things. I will be practicing my songs, and then hopefully I can get these videos up and done. I have a few other covers that I would really like to do. Some anime stuff, believe it or not. some AOT. For those of you who know, you know. Hold on. You know, I'll tell you, the anime soundtrack community is really awesome. Some of these shows and films have like incredible soundtracks, and they're usually like pretty heavy, like metal soundtracks, metal songs, with some really great vocals in there. Some great melodic vocals married with some really heavy, sometimes thrashy metal, uh, uh, groundwork. So I've been kind of getting into that, and only because of my students. I get so much information from my students, and so many awesome. I discover so many awesome bands through my students, uh, and they're getting music from all over the place. It's not like they're just getting music from the radio, because there's basically no radio anymore. There is, where I live. Excuse me, where I live, believe it or not, there is still a thing called WBAB. And for those of you who know, you know. It is a classic rock radio station that's been around probably, well, yeah, it's been around pretty much as long as I've been alive. I would think maybe a little bit less, but, they're still going strong, man. They still have a really strong following and fan base in this part of the world, this part of the country, and kudos to them. But listen, there's so much music everywhere these days, and it's an amazing thing. It has its good points and its bad points, but there's so much music all over the place now that we have TV shows, movies, using music or creating original music. All kinds of things going on. The internet. So many people, or so many internet properties that are producing music. So many artists. I mean, that's besides just the people out there that are solely out there putting out music and recording and performing music. But you hear music everywhere. You put on video games, there's music all over the place, original music. TV shows, movies, original music, like everywhere. So I have so many students when they come in and they're young. Their music comes from like any number of things. A lot of my younger students will come in with video game music that they want to learn, and stuff that really excites them. And I love to see where my younger students, where they discover their music from. It's really, really cool, because there are some creators out there that are creating music for young people, for children, that is just amazing. And interactive stuff that they're doing online, where kids can go on and they can learn about rhythms and music and things like that, and they really love it. So when I see a student come in and they're young and they just love this one song, and I've never heard it before because it's like on a kid's video game. I really love that, because they're getting a love of music somewhere. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't have to be what I like. It doesn't have to be anything I've ever heard of. But anyway, that's about it. I want to play some drums, man. I haven't played drums. I've had a heck of a week. Some some stuff to deal with, as everybody does, and now we got snow on the ground outside, which I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's going to be pretty benign, but it's nice and gentle snow, right? I like that gentle snow because it doesn't really affect your life. But if it keeps up this way, which I don't think it's supposed to, but if it keeps up this way, a gentle snow will accumulate and eventually become a bigger problem. But right now it's just real pretty to look at. It's not too cold out. But we are getting, from what I'm hearing, I just heard this today from a reliable source, as reliable as any weather person can be. that we are going into this evening into the single digits as far as temperature goes this evening. So tomorrow is going to be fun. I have the early part of the day off, so that's good. I don't have to travel in single digit weather. I hope everything works in the morning. But yeah, we're getting one of those bitter cold snaps coming through. But anyway, let's do something fun. Let's kind of go back to what we were talking about the other day. Let's listen to something here. Oh, good. I'm glad that's not the song because that shit was pretty bad. Okay, that was a tune by Sean Lang at seanlang.com, SEANLANG.com. He's asking me to give him credit if I play any of his tracks online, and there you go. I seem to be stuck in this loop. You could hear the intro music out of my headphones. All right, well, that's cool for him. Let me see. Hi, Dana. All right. I like to just play, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like I like to find different things and mess around with different ideas and have a good time. Oh, that was terrible, man. You didn't even hear. I apologize for the. Also, I would suggest, as you're playing through these tracks, stuff that you haven't heard before. I mean, you can get tracks of songs that you know, but I prefer getting tracks, drumless tracks of songs that I've never heard before. You can practice different approaches to a song as well as just working on your creativity. When you're playing to a drumless track, you have the option to play it super straight, you know, depending on the genre of music or whatever your mood is at the time. You play it straight. Or like I was doing a little bit before, kind of going a little bit extra on fills and rhythms and ideas and things like that. Both approaches are great depending on what your situation is. If you are playing in a band where you are required to do less, then play along with these drumless tracks and do less. Work on that. That is also a skill. You could be a chops monster. You could be fast as anything. There is magic in the silence. There's magic in the simplicity. Practice playing simply. Practice adding what's needed to the music. It's good to be well-rounded as a musician. You'll get more work that way. And when people see that you can do anything, if somebody tells you, all right, we're going to jam on this song, just do whatever comes to mind. We're just writing this song now. You can go over the top and let somebody tell you, pull it back a little bit. Okay. Or you could approach it very simplistically, say, what do you guys think? Do you want more? And then just add more, right? So being able to be versatile in your approach to drumming is a very important part of your game, especially if you're a musician out there and you want to work with different people, and you want to be a studio player, or you want to tour with different bands, whatever it is. If you're looking for a situation where you want to be the drummer, just be well-rounded. So, like I was doing here before, just playing all kinds of stuff and trying out different approaches and ideas. This is the place to do it, right? And when you're in your rehearsal with your band, in your writing sessions with your band, what I usually do when I'm writing with a band is first of all, we will record all of our writing sessions so that everybody can listen back and choose what they liked best out of the session. But I like to, when we're writing a new song, is to put on tape 4 or 5 different approaches to that song throughout the course of the writing session. And this way, when I listen back in the car on the ride home or throughout my day, throughout my week, I can see what I connect with and what I think worked and what didn't work. Putting out a few different ideas within one writing session, I think, is a great way to pick and choose the things that worked. Or the combination of things that worked. The first take I liked. Take 2 and 4 I did not. 3 and 5 are keepers. Let's see if I can maybe combine ideas from number 3 and number 5 to make the finished drum track, right? So that's a little bit of my process when I'm writing music. That's a little bit of my rehearsal session here, just working on my creativity and working on my feel and working on pulling it back and going bigger. And so I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you guys that are hanging out. And I will catch you, what's today? Oh, today's Friday. Got a big weekend coming up. Everybody, NFL playoffs. Whatever you're doing this weekend, have a great time. Be safe. Be healthy. If you're in the Northeast, put on an extra layer of clothes. And just have a great time. All right, so I will catch you guys next time on the Mark Z Drumcast. Peace.